13 of the weirdest tourist attractions in the world. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, entertaining, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the strangest, some of the most bizarre, some of the most unique, some of the most weird destinations that I've been to in the last 13 years that I've been making Yellow Productions. 13 years, 13 attractions, roughly in an order of most recent to oldest that I've been to. By the way, this is a live stream. So if you're on the live stream, I'm looking forward to what you think about some of these attractions, looking forward to hearing about it, hanging out with y'all. If you're watching the archive, well, make sure to subscribe, click the bell to turn on notifications so you can participate in these live streams where I always give away some Yellow Productions swag to a lucky viewer on the actual live stream. And by the way, if you are bored with the usual tourist attractions, museums, and observatories, well, this list is for you because we'll be looking at the wild and the wacky from the robot restaurant in Tokyo to the sewer museums of Paris all across the world. And by the way, each one of these videos that I'm highlighting, each one of these attractions has its own video because, well, if I didn't make a video on it, then it means I probably haven't been there. And so what we're going to be doing in this video, I'll talk a little bit about the attraction. We'll watch a little bit of the video that I made on it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So if you want to dive further into detail on any one of these attractions, we're not watching the whole videos that I have on them, so you can take a look in the description and also the pinned comment. I've got a playlist for my weird attractions playlist that I made just for this video, so you could dive into that one to find any of these attractions. So attraction number 1 that we're going to talk about is indeed the robot restaurant in Tokyo, Japan. It's the place that you saw in the thumbnail for this video, and a little bit of setup about the robot restaurant. So it's in Tokyo. It's tucked away in Shinjuku's Kabuki-cho neighborhood. This is Tokyo's largest red light district. Kabuki-cho glows in neon and LEDs. There's animated signs and screens everywhere, you know, from pachinko to sex stores. Kabuki-cho has anything that you're looking for and things that you're not. But in the middle of Kabuki-cho lies the robot restaurant. And not really a restaurant, more of a show. It's really hard to describe. But the last thing I'll say before I roll the video for it is Anthony Bourdain called the robot restaurant the greatest show in the history of entertainment. So we'll watch about 2 minutes here from the robot restaurant, and then we'll come and chat about it a little bit more.
Yellow Productions presents
The Robot Restaurant in Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan. This is one of the craziest nighttime shows anywhere, and you won't want to miss it if you're in Tokyo. You buy your tickets out in a separate ticket storefront out in Shinjuku. You can't miss it. It's got neon lights and it's everywhere. Once you buy your tickets, you come around the corner down this hallway and you begin in this elevator up 3 floors into the lounge. Once you take that elevator up to the 3rd floor, you'll be in this super bizarro lounge. It's a bizarro lounge that has robots playing jazz music. It doesn't get much finer than that. They have different acts before and after the different shows. When we got there before the 4 o'clock show, the act was just musical jazz, but for the evening act, there was a robot songstress. The whole theme is even carried into the bathrooms. Even the urinals are decorated for the robot restaurant. I mean, I have never been in any place like this. It is so cheesy and so gaudy that it actually makes it really classy. Once it's showtime, you walk down 5 floors of what I think is the world's trippiest staircase before arriving on basement level 2, the show floor. Down here, there's 3 rows of seats on either side. The seats are set up in pairs with a little table in front that you can have the bento dinner or some snacks. They sell popcorn and drinks at every single break. After a few minutes of chilling out, it's time for the show to get started. Here are some of the highlights. 15 minutes of craziness, it's time for intermission, where they'll taunt you with more snacks, popcorn, and cotton candy.
Who the hell is that?
All right, so there we have it. There it is, the robot restaurant. It's super weird, but amazing and delightful. So now there's some rules for the robot restaurant that make it even weirder. They tell you 3 rules when you start. The first rule, when the show starts, no one can leave. Not for anything. Not for the bathroom. Second, if children want noise-canceling headphones to protect their ears, they are available. And the third rule, which is the most important, those people that are in the front row, which is where I was filming that video, must duck or lean back when objects come by. And actually, the ringmaster goes over it twice, and then they practice it by running this thing in front of you, and you have to show that you can duck and move back. So I've never been to any show anything like it, but when I go to Japan, I absolutely love going there. All right, so let's go to the second weird attraction. This one is Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch, and this is a place that's on the way from San Diego to Las Vegas or Los Angeles to Las Vegas. It is a ranch or a garden entirely made of bottles. We'll watch this for about 30 seconds, then we'll be back. Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch, a really interesting attraction on the way from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. It's about 2 hours from LA to get here, and this place, it's a ranch. Trees with bottles on it. They actually come off a little bit, but I think it's this guy's house. It's a pretty neat place. Admission is free. Come and check it out if you're driving to Las Vegas, but just be careful you don't knock them off. And now, join me for a walking tour through the Bottle Tree Ranch. First, the address. It's 24266 National Trails Highway in Oro Grande, California. Yeah, and so this is one of those just fun roadside attractions. I feel like the USA is full of these sorts of things, like giant dinosaurs and big balls of twine. Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch, and Vivian says, oh, did you make a video about it? I have made a video about everything that you're seeing in this live stream, and if you want to watch it, links in the description to the playlist of all of the long videos about each one of these things. So if you want to see the whole walkthrough of the Bottle Tree Ranch, you can do that in that description below. It's free admission. It's off the Interstate 15 near Barstow. Barstow is really famous for one of the biggest In-N-Out burgers around, but just one of those fun stops as you're going through the deserts. Unfortunately, Elmer, who is the owner of the Bottle Tree Ranch, he has passed away, but his children have taken it over. Something that's similar to Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch that's also in the weird category, I have not made a video on it, so it's not featured in here, but are the Watts Towers in Watts, California. These towers in the city of Watts, which is famous for the Watts riots, were built by this Italian immigrant, and they are the world's largest structures built by a single person. He built these huge structures out of metal. So if you're looking for something interesting in LA, that's one. Traveling the World says, how do those bottles still exist? Where did they get them? That's a great question, and I'm not sure, but he's got tons of these bottles and tons of areas of extra bottles. Apparently, I understand he's got more bottles than he has built trees for. And Tony P says the guy collects loads of things, even a boxing belt. Yeah, it feels like almost like an outdoor history museum. North Star Vaping has a, yeah, but why do you build a bottle tree ranch? I guess it's one of those things where, you got bottles and you got trees, and it's something to do, and it's become something that people enjoy now. All right, so let's go ahead to the third weird tourist attraction. The third weird tourist attraction is London's Nose. What is London's Nose? I featured this in a video that I did all about weird things to do in London. We'll watch about the first 45 seconds of this video and then come back to talk more about London's Nose. 10 weird things to do in London. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. In this video, I'm not going to be telling you the usual things to do. I'm going to be telling you some weird things to do in this city. And the first one, it's here in Trafalgar Square. It's at that Admiralty Arch right back there, and it's to go find London's Nose. Let's go check it out. Okay, close up to the arch, right in the traffic lane on here, where there's a small protrusion, and what do we see? A nose. There was an artist in 1997, he put up about 30 of these across London. 7 of these noses are still left. You can do a whole walk to find the 7 noses as well, but in this video I'm just gonna leave you with this one and head on to the other weird things to do in London. Second weird thing to do in London. And in case you're wondering, no, I have actually not found the 7 other noses that make up London, but that was one that when I was looking up things to do and things to see in London, I was like, London's nose? Is that actually a real thing? And yes, London's nose is actually a real thing, as you can see right there. And it's particularly weird because it's on this arch in Trafalgar Square that has this really classic architecture. And would you think that there would be a metal nose on that arch? You probably wouldn't. By the way, that video appeared as part of my Weird Things to Do in London video, which has 9 more weird things to do. Another weird thing to do in London is to visit what's called the Old Operating Theatre Museum. And this museum, I said museums are boring, but this museum's really quite interesting. It's hidden away in this attic of a church. You have to go up this spiral staircase to get to it, and it's a operating theater. What does that mean? A place where doctors could show off how they operate on people so new doctors could learn back in like the early 1900s. And then it's got like a museum about medicine in the early 1900s, which is particularly scary. Surgery without anesthesia, seeing how they made all those things. Anyway, if you go to London, you can check out the nose. Christina asked if I know what the inspiration is. I don't know the inspiration behind the nose. I probably should know, and I probably knew it at one time. But yeah, Tony said, I've walked past those gates loads of times and I've never noticed it. I bet. I walked by those gates lots of times too. And even when I was making that video, I was like, and I knew it was there, and I'm like, I heard it was there. And I'm like, is it really there? Where is it? And it was actually kind of hard to find. But then I was actually quite proud of myself when I actually saw the nose. Akisu says, so obscure, it's crazy. It is pretty crazy. But now you have a little bit of that trivia, that you can say, hey, do you know where London's nose is? The 4th weird tourist attraction, we're going from London across the Atlantic now to New York City. Actually, I want to show you 2 in New York City. I think these are 2 of the weirdest attractions in New York City. The first one is called the Museum, and then the second one is the Earth Room. So I'll show you the clips from the Weird Thing to Do in New York City video that I did talking about these, and then we'll come back and talk about them a little bit more. We're going to start this, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to get to the part on the museum.
Yellow production.
Description below, or click this card that's up here in the corner. Do that at the end after you watch this one, but here we go. The first weird thing to do in New York City is to visit New York City's smallest museum. It fits inside a freight elevator and only fits 3 people. So you may be wondering, why am I standing in an alley? Well, actually, this is the location of the museum. 2 M's at the beginning, 2 M's at the end. It is located inside this freight elevator. It has slightly odd hours. You have to check the website for when they're open, but it has these little windows on it that you can actually see inside even when it's closed. And because it is so small, you can see pretty much everything just from the windows. And if you want to know more about it, well, they've got a little sign on the outside. You can call this 1-800 number, dial an extension, and hear the audio guide for any one of the items in the museum. The second straight pretty cool, and I've got a whole bunch more information about riding the tramway in my video on Roosevelt Island. Click the card to watch it, find the link in the description, or it's a part of my New York City travel guide playlist. The next weird thing to do in New York City is to get in touch with nature at the Earth Room. It's located in Soho at 141 Wooster Street, which is this building behind me. Up on the 2nd floor, there is a room. It's been here since 1977, and it is filled with 280,000 pounds of, yes, earth or dirt. It's in a room 3,600 square feet. Admission is free. It's open early afternoons and then in the evening. Check their website for complete details. It's closed in the summer because I think they have no air conditioning and it gets hot. If you are coming, really only come here if you're in the Soho neighborhood, but if you are, it's certainly worth a stop in because it doesn't cost anything. When you get to 141 Wooster Street, there's a little doorbell. Push the button that says 2B, they'll buzz you in. You go up a flight of stairs and then you'll be there to admire the Earth Room. And the smell of the dirt, yes, it does smell a bit like nature in the middle of busy Manhattan. So museums actually don't have to be boring. You can see the museum is this really interesting little tiny museum. And then the Earth Room, I mean, that one is like, my mind was kind of blown visiting the Earth Room because I'm like, somebody rents this place in New York City to fill it full of dirt and it's free admission. Definitely one of the weirdest museums that I've been to. And Teacher Loves Disney says free. How do they pay rent? I guess they have like at least the Earth Room, they must have an endowment or something. I'm not sure how the museum makes it. That's a little tiny place, but so random. You can tell people you've been to the smallest museum, and you can also tell people that you've been to a museum full of dirt. Mike D says, well, I make a list of this place. As soon as the live stream is done, in the description, I'll put the list of all 13 of these places, but in the interim, when this video is done, if I haven't done that yet, you can click the playlist in the video that I've got to all the weird attractions, so I've actually already put them in a playlist. Oh, Emmett has a great thing. I bet the rent is not dirt cheap. But a boom, boom. Yeah, that's it. Ibrahim says, I wonder how long it took them to fill that room. That's a good question. And did they get trucks of dirt, or did they bring it in by the bucket? Or yeah, how did they get dessert? How did they get the dirt up there? Wu Tai says the Mutter Museum is very cool. What is the Mutter Museum? I've never been to the Mutter. I'm not familiar with the Mutter Museum. All right, the next weird attraction, we're going to go on to Singapore. Oh, by the way, if you want to see more New York City weird attractions, you can check out the whole New York City video. So the fifth weird attraction in the world in Singapore, this is called the Haw Par Villa. And this is one of those where I've been to Singapore a number of times, and I've run out of like things to do on like the tier 1 and even the tier 2 attractions, and so I'm like, what are the things on the tier 3 and the tier 4 attractions? But this is one of those tier 3 or tier 4 attractions that I definitely think is worth the visit. We'll watch a couple minutes of this video, come back and talk about it.
Yellow Productions presents
The Haw Par Villa in Singapore. The Haw Par Villa was originally a mansion created by the inventor of Tiger Balm. It was destroyed in World War II, and afterwards he replaced it with this very interesting theme park. A theme park unlike no other. If you want to see weird and wacky Singapore, this is the place. Best of all, admission is free. And you can meet your good friend, the giraffe, the ant, the bull, and the peacock. They're my friends already. To get to the Haw Par Villa, just take the MRT on the Circle Line to the Haw Par Villa stop, turn right, and you'll be right there. The Haw Par Villa is divided into a few different theme areas. Each theme area has different statues based upon that theme, and each statue tells a different story. Each of the sculptures has a description. This one says that this story tells of the importance of power and piety. One of the most important sculptures here, I think, are these two sumo wrestlers, because in the middle they have the collection of Tiger Balm. In the original garage built for the villa is a 1925 Buick California hardtop that's been modified to have what on the front? Of course, a tiger. This statue here is the Laughing Buddha. He looks like he's having a good time, doesn't he? This one is titled The 8 Immortals. It's a story from Chinese folklore where the 8 immortals invaded Neptune's palace. What's extra strange about these exhibits is you can actually go inside of many of them. So you can see the 8 immortals from a different perspective. This is from underneath to get a close-up look at it. And then you can go actually underneath the whole thing through these dank tunnels.
can see weird statues of tigers. This park is really an example of what people do when they have too much money. Because, you know, something that I've always wanted that now I've seen here is a statue of an ostrich with a tortoise riding it. This one is of a pig and a goat and some oranges. I really have no comment for this one. After walking around this park more, it reminds me of the Singaporean version of Salvador Dali. Just really bizarre, really intriguing. Definitely bring your camera if you come here, because you're going to get some pictures that you'll get nowhere else. Where else are you going to be able to get a picture of a turtle with a human head? Or where else are you going to be able to lie down on a naked mermaid? In the middle of the villa...
Yeah, Singapore is one of my favorite places to travel to, and I hadn't visited Singapore till maybe 6 years ago or something. And then in a span of like 2 or 3 years, I think I visited Singapore like 3 or 4 times. And Emmett says, admission is free. The best words ever muttered. Admission is free is particularly great. Laura Wade says, oh my God, I can't unsee that now, Chris. I'm sorry. But you know, there's an even weirder part of the Haw Par Villa that I didn't include because I don't even know if it's appropriate for YouTube. But it has this section about like I don't know, they call it the 7 hells or the 13 hell. I'm sure I'm getting the number wrong. But it's about like the different levels of hell, and it even gets pretty weirder in there. But it has like its own subway stop. So if you're in Singapore, it's a pretty easy place to get to. Emmett says, shout out to OC Girl and Topher. Thank you, Emmett, for the shout out. To the Yellow Productions crew, Topher, and to OC Girl as well. Let's see. Christina says, I've been to Singapore in 2019. It was raining every day and it was hard to breathe. Yeah, it could be pretty hot in Singapore for sure. But I think the rain's actually good because it kind of cools you down. Goddess says, I love Singapore, but didn't get to go there last time I was in Singapore. I will go next time. Fantastic. All right. The next weird attraction, we'll move on to number 6. Weirdest tourist attraction in the world. This is we're going to Japan now from Singapore, and this is a ramen restaurant. It's called Ichiran, and actually really like Ichiran, but I think the dining experience can be kind of weird. The video I titled this one on is this the world's most anti-social ramen restaurant? And basically the experience in Ichiran is they have these little cubicles that you dine in, and you can have your entire ramen eating experience without seeing a single person. So we'll watch this for a couple minutes, then we'll talk a little bit more about ramen.
Yellow Productions presents
The most antisocial restaurant ever. Ichiran Ramen behind me in Fukuoka, Japan. This is an antisocial person's dream. It starts by, well, you line up and then you order at a vending machine. You don't have to talk to anybody to order. You just put your money in, cash only, by the way. Push some buttons, you'll get a ticket. Once you've got your ticket, there's a sign right inside the door that has lights to tell you what booths, not booths, they are booths, they're counter booths. Have you ever eaten at a counter booth? Yes, this restaurant has counter booths. The counter has little dividers on either side, so that when you sit at the counter, you don't have to see anybody on either side. And you don't have to talk to anybody when it's available because the sign will tell you that. Well, if it's busy, they do have a greeter, that's the only one. So they'll sit you inside, or you sit yourself inside based upon the availability. Then when you're seated, there's a little spot on the counter that you put the tickets that you ordered with. Someone will come and pick up those tickets, and then they roll down the shade so that you don't even have to see the people behind that are bringing you the food. When your food is ready, they'll roll up the shade and they put the food on your table. I will mention the ramen at this particular location, and this is the Daizaifu location by one of the big shrines in Fukuoka. It has these special star-shaped bowls, and it is some of the best ramen I think I've had anywhere. The broth, super good. You'll have different options to customize your ramen, and you do that yourself. You just get a little pen and you circle these different things. You can pick how much garlic you want, how firm you want the noodles. You can order your sides. And then if you order like extra something, like extra noodles, or we ordered extra pudding, they give you a little dish, and then when you're ready to order that pudding or the extra noodles, you put the dish on the place where you put the tickets, you press it down, it makes a song or a noise, they'll come by, pick it up, and they'll bring you that thing. In my case, they bring back the pudding, and they roll down the thing, of course, after they bow to you. You'll see this part of them, but you won't see their face. If you are with a party, the little booths can open up so you can be next to them, but it's super great if you don't like to see people. It's super well thought out. I also want to point out in the bathroom, it has the most rolls of toilet paper I've ever seen on a wall before. It was amazing. Well, let me tell you, if you come to Fukuoka, check out Ichiran. The ramen is really good and you don't have to talk to anybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If this was your first time.
Yeah, Teacher Love Disney says it sounds perfect for social distancing. Maybe they foresaw the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't know, particularly with that bathroom and all that toilet paper, they were stocked up and ready. Yeah, NO says those booths will be good now with COVID going around. I bet I've not been in there since they've done this, but that would be a good place to even put up some more plexiglass. And Goddess says, what if they want to eat with your friends? Do they have group tables? They have no group tables, but the little things on the counters they can fold away so that you can have like at least two people. Japan, the culture really isn't to eat with lots of people. They do a lot of like single person eating. In fact, if you go to like some McDonald's, they've got just individual tables that has like a booth on one side, tables on this side, and like no seats on this side. MT asks if I can bring back the old introduction. It was the best. You know, the reason why I don't have the intro anymore at the beginning is because of YouTube's new rollover preview. And so I actually want people to see the video as opposed to seeing the introduction. So that's why I did away with the intro. I think Lau wants to know, what are the prices for a bowl of ramen? I think they were about $900 yen, something like that. So around $8 something like that. I feel it was pretty reasonably priced. What's annoying is that Ichiran opened some locations in New York City, and the locations in New York City have tables. They don't have the booth. They don't have the antisocial eating environment. So I was like, man, that's the reason to eat there. And their ramen's pretty good. All right, the seventh weirdest tourist attraction in the world is... I'm bringing you to California now, but this place has actually moved to Texas. But OC Girl and I did this when they were here in California. We went to this place called Shangrillama. It's a llama farm where you can walk llamas. Unfortunately, if you're coming to California, they are no longer in California. They were in Yorba Linda. Yorba Linda is famous for being Richard Nixon's birthplace, and it's the home of the Richard Nixon Presidential Library. But now Shangrillama has moved to North Texas in a town called Royce City. So if you want to walk llamas, you'll have to go to Royce City. So it was actually a whole lot of fun. Really weird to think that walking llamas is a tourist attraction. We paid money to walk somebody else's llama, but let's check this out.
Yellow Productions presents
Walking a llama in Yorba Linda, California. If you've run out of things to do on a weekend and said to yourself, hey, what can I do? Well, I've got an activity for you. It's walking a llama. At Shangrillama, you get to do just that. A private llama farm. They specialize in renting llamas for 3-hour walks. There are 5 different types of llamas. You get to walk each one of them. They're all from different places. When you have your hands, they think there's food in it. I don't have food in it, but actually a similar video you might be interested in is feeding deer in Nara, Japan. You can click over here to watch that while I feed this one. So they know it's feeding time. It's in my pocket. I hide it from them. So here we go. You don't have to worry. No bites. They're very soft, just like a gummy nibble on the fingers. A neat thing about getting to walk the 5 different llamas is you get to experience their unique, and I'm emphasizing unique, personalities. And now let me introduce to you the llamas of Shangrillama. This llama right here, the black and white one, he's the pack leader. His name is Pajama Llama. The all-white llama with the blue eyes, he's the enlightened one of the pack. They call him the Dalai Lama. The smallest of the pack is the one that looks like a giraffe crossed with a donkey. Turns out he is a purebred Argentinian llama, and they call him Drama Llama because of his dramatic look. Probably my favorite of the llamas because he was the easiest to walk, the big brown one, they call him Llama. And finally, the most famous of their llamas, because he's been in his own TV show, Llama Cop, his name is Como te llama? His name in Spanish means, what is your name? When the 5 llamas walk, there's always a leader.
Yeah, Laura says she wants to hug the llamas. The llamas were really cute, and it was so fun walking with the llamas. Travel Adventures with Eric says, walk a llama. That could be another name, since that's what you do. Vic Lau says the llamas are so cute and cuddly. Goddess totally wants to go there. Carlos says they're cute. Rye Guy says, a video clip inside a live stream. That's some Inception stuff. It sure is, but, you know, I figure, actually, you know, the thing about these weird attractions is a lot of these videos that I've made on each one of these attractions have not really gotten, like, the most views in the world because they're, you know, who searches for Shangrillama, right? But actually, they're really cool places that I wish more people knew about, even though they're weird. It's weird. It's weird to pay money to walk somebody else's llama, but it's super cool at the same time. And Ibrahim says the names are hilarious. They are hilarious. Corny? Hilarious? Awesome. They are great. Okay. And Mo says the best name is Pajama Llama. Yeah, and it's neat. You know, it's like usually you see like llamas, you know, at zoos and cages. It's kind of neat just to like hang out with the llamas, you know. Okay, the 8th weirdest attraction in the world that I've been to filming Yellow Productions. Going back to Japan now, this is called the Yufuin Floral Village. This is in the southern island of Japan in Kyushu. We visited Kyushu 2 or 3 years ago, and Yufuin is a famous onsen town, which is a hot spring town. And there's this little, I don't know, tiny shopping mall or section of a shopping mall that they call the Floral Village, and it is essentially a Japanese take on the Swiss Alps. Maybe what the Swiss Alps would look like if the Swiss Alps were in Japan. It was kind of funny because before the trip to Kyushu, we had just been to Switzerland, and so it was really interesting seeing the Japanese rendition to Switzerland. If you've been to Switzerland, you'll appreciate this particular look at it.
The Swiss Alps in Japan. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. In this video, I'll be showing you the Swiss Alps in Japan. I'm in the town of Yufuin. It is a onsen hot spring resort. And there's a place called the Yufuin Floral Village, and it has all the stuff about the Swiss Alps. You know, when I was in Switzerland recently, I saw, I saw St. Bernards, these little dogs, these little stuffed animals. And if you look over here, there's this Japanese cartoon right here, and they've got all these stuffed animals. You can get St. Bernards, you can get sheep, you can get everything that you might get in the Swiss Alps. Here, let's take a look at what's over here in this plaza. There's a fountain it's got flowers, it's got roses on it. It's like -3 degrees Celsius, so they're not real, and actually it's icy in the fountain. It's probably like the Swiss Alps, just not the blooms. There's the umbrella market of Japan called Raindrops. Today it's just ice drops be falling on my head. It's Japan, so you can get little capsule toys. Here's more of the stuffed animals. Heidi, a Girl of the Alps, I think that's the cartoon. This shop all sells bags. Come over here. In this shop, more stuffed animals, and over here, if you look this way, it's all hand towels, because the Japanese don't have handkerchiefs or paper towels in bathrooms, so you'll need a hand towel. Finally, it's Heidi's snack time, where they sell popcorn, because nothing is more alpine than popcorn. And by the way, the music that you hear, I didn't add that. The yodeling is the music that is here. And if you're curious, the flavors of the popcorn that's in there, all of them are goat milk, but it's goat milk with something. Goat milk and vanilla chocolate, goat milk caramel, and goat milk with cheese. I didn't see that in the Swiss Alps, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna go get some ramen because I'm in Japan now. One thing I missed before I conclude is there's a whole bunch of stuffed goats, but there's an actual goat here that you can feed. Though it's so cold, he seems pretty happy to be in his little house. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is your first time here, please click on this yellow ball to subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, links in the description below, or watch some of these other videos and do some yodeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You also probably don't see a lot of Yellow Productions videos where I yodel at the end, but I was just so inspired with that. And that's an example of an unplanned video, right? We didn't go to Yufuin and said we need to go to the Floral Village and record it, but we were just walking around and we're like, this, like I have to share this with all of you. Enrique says he wants to shout out to his wife Irma on our 13-year anniversary. Congratulations on 13 years of marriage, Enrique and Irma. Carlos says Heidi was his mom's childhood cartoon. Very cool. Laura says, yay, goats. Yeah, we're in like the whole animal section of the video. Village Idiot says, I need to go to the Corn Palace. It's so corny. I do. I'd like to visit the Corn Palace. Emmett says, the music sounds like the Price is Right's cliffhanger game. It indeed. And Ethan asks if I can do a video on 13 things you can do to stay safe during a pandemic. Maybe related to travel. All right. Jordan wants to know, which is faster, the bullet train or the Eurostar? I think the bullet train in Japan, has faster sections than the Eurostar train does. I think the fastest trains in the world are actually the trains in China. All right, number 9, the 9th weirdest attraction in the world. I mentioned we're looking at Switzerland, the Swiss Alps. So let's go ahead and take a trip to actual Switzerland. This is a mirror maze in Lucerne, Switzerland. This is another example of one that this video was unplanned, but we went to this place. We walked through this mirror maze, and we're like, we need to go through again. We need to make a video on it because it is the most amazing mirror maze that I've ever been to. I've been to mirror mazes in at fairs and fun houses, and they're like way lame compared to it. And again, appreciate that we had been through this mirror maze probably twice before making this video, and then we went through a third time to make the video, and we still got lost. That's how good this mirror maze is, but it's a weird mirror maze too. So let's take a look at a couple minutes of the amazing mirror maze in Lucerne, Switzerland.
Yellow Productions presents
The Alhambra Hall of Mirrors in Lucerne, Switzerland. This is one of the coolest attractions that I think I've been in Lucerne, and easily the coolest Hall of Mirrors that I've been in anywhere. As you walk through, it is themed to look like the Alhambra, and they've got this fountain here that you see yourself many times over. It's a place where you really have to keep your hands out in front of you to make sure that you don't run into the mirrors. And I've been into other halls of mirrors before, but what makes this one cool is you can see things like these peacocks, and some of these mirrors are one-way mirrors and some are two-way mirrors, and that you'll see art as you're walking through, but it comes from behind the mirrors, and you'll see the same things over and over again. Like here you see the peacocks, but you don't see me reflected, but those peacocks aren't in front of me, those peacocks are actually behind me right here. And Topher, he's following me as we go through this Hall of Mirrors. This Hall of Mirrors is located in the Glacier Garden in Lucerne, and the admission to the Glacier Garden is €15, but I think it's well worth it to see this amazing Hall of Mirrors. It was originally built to be in Geneva, and I've just found the dead end. See, these mirrors come to a point right here with this bush, so I have to turn around. And hey, there's Topher. Look at that. Topher, do you know the way to go? Not this way.
Vic says, this is like a fun house. It's like a fun house, except much more epic. You know, a lot of the ones that go to carnivals, they're just small little ones. But this thing, it was really huge. That video goes on for another couple minutes of us going through that fun house. Hopefully I didn't make anybody sick going through there and turning through it. By the way, there's a lot of people who say OC Girl should be in more videos. And I don't know if you know, she's actually in quite a few videos. You just have to find the right ones to see her. She was in the Llama Walk one, too, if you didn't catch her seeing in there. Justin said the peacocks almost look like something out of Alien. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy and kind of weird. And then it's also weird that this mirror maze is in like a museum about glaciers. It's a museum in Lucerne, Switzerland, about glaciers, because Switzerland has glaciers. But then in addition to glaciers, they have the most awesome mirror maze anywhere. Christina says there's one in San Francisco. I wonder how it compares to the one in Lucerne. I'm not sure. I feel like I've been in one in San Francisco, but I don't remember it all that well. I guess because I didn't make a video on it. So if I didn't make a video on it, then maybe I didn't go. Ethan, Topher really enjoyed the trip to Switzerland, and so did OC Girl and I. Actually, Switzerland is one of those countries where a lot of people told us, Switzerland expensive, there's nothing to do there. Switzerland's probably one of our favorite destinations that we've been to. Maybe not Zurich, because Zurich is really expensive, but you have to go to Zurich because it's the capital of Switzerland. You kind of fly in there. We really enjoyed visiting the mountain towns of Switzerland, particularly Wengen, and also the what's the name of it? There's like this famous mountain that's there that now I can't remember the name of. That's the problem when you do 800 videos. You can't do that. Waka69 says OC Girl voices Topher. I believe she does. Absolutely, the voice of Topher is OC Girl. Also the voice of Columbus on the Office Survival Guide. Travel Adventure says Prague has some weird attractions. Travel Adventures, what do you think are the weirdest attractions in Prague? I'm curious. Because if you don't know, I'm actually half Czech, so I've got some extended family that lives in Prague. Tony says beautiful scenery, Switzerland, but very expensive. It can be expensive. We traveled there using airline points for our flights. We did like business class on Swiss Airlines, LA to Zurich. In Zurich, we booked the Marriott on Marriott points, and we booked the Renaissance Hotel in Lucerne on Marriott points. So all we had to pay for was our food and then like 2 nights of a hotel in Wengen. So it wasn't that bad. Wu Taiwan says the Matterhorn. It's not the Matterhorn. It's another one. It's really famous with people in India. It's got this train that goes up to the top of it, and there's glaciers up there. Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's go on to the next number. Okay, number 10. The 10th weirdest tourist attraction we've been to. This one is in Salt Lake City, Utah. So the backstory on this one is OC Girl and I, probably a couple months before going to Salt Lake City, we saw the Broadway play The Book of Mormon, which we love. The Book of Mormon is like our favorite Broadway musical. And when we were going to Salt Lake City, we were looking up tourist attractions, and one of the number one tourist attractions we saw in Salt Lake City is something called Space Jesus, which is in the Mormon Temple Visitor Center in Salt Lake City. So with that, I'm going to show you this video about Space Jesus.
Yellow Productions presents
Space Jesus of Salt Lake City, Utah. Space Jesus is located in the North Visitor Center of Temple Square in downtown Salt Lake City. The statue itself is known as Christus. It's a replica of a 19th century marble statue of the resurrected Jesus created by Danish sculptor Bertel Thorvaldsen. Christus statues are on display in numerous visitor centers of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints all across the world, but this one here in Salt Lake City is affectionately known as Space Jesus due to the very interesting space backdrop in the atrium of which this Christus resides. This Christus is located on the second floor of the visitor center. There's a neat spiral ramp that'll bring you up there. It almost feels like you're walking up into outer space. And if you come at the right time, you might even hear Space Jesus speak. Let's listen in to what he says.
You believe in God?
believe also in me. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. If ye love me, keep my commandments.
After you're finished admiring. So, in addition to Space Jesus, actually something that's interesting to see at the Mormon Temple in Salt Lake City, if you're there, is Brigham Young's house. So Brigham Young, in addition to being one of the kind of like original folks in the Mormon Church, was also the governor of Utah, and they offer free tours of Brigham Young's house, which is interesting. And Emmett said, "I have heard of Space Jesus, but I always thought it was fake." It's not fake, and it's funny to go see the Mormon Temple. We parked in like the shopping mall that's across from it, and there were probably four young Mormon 20-something men, and they were talking about going there. And then when we got to Space Jesus, we saw them there, right? And honestly, Bridget says, they write the Book of Mormon great song, Salt Lake City. I really can't sing, so I probably shouldn't sing that. But one of OC Girl and my favorite traveling soundtracks is the Book of Mormon soundtrack. We love the Book of Mormon soundtrack. And if any of you love the Book of Mormon, and Kathy says she loved the Book of Mormon too, she saw it twice. I've got one up for you. I've seen it 3 times. I saw it once by myself, once with OC Girl, and then once with my mom, maybe 4 times. And then I saw it, I think, with my mother-in-law and brother-in-law and OC Girl. The people who... the Book of Mormon, the stage show, was written by the creators of South Park, and then this other group. So the other group, they wrote this Broadway play called Avenue Q. And if you haven't seen Avenue Q, it's a pretty good stage show as well. It's still played in New York City, obviously not right now during the pandemic, but that's a fun but bizarre stage show. All right, let's go to number 11, the 11th weird tourist attraction in the world. I mentioned we're going to start at the Robot Restaurant in Tokyo, and we're going to go to the Sewer Museums of Paris. This is number 11. There's 2 more to go after this. But I think this is a really early video that I did, so please forgive any bad videography. I was kind of just getting started. I did this a long time ago. But there's this museum in Paris that's a museum all about the sewer. And when I went to Paris on this trip, I had the 3-day Paris pass to be like, oh, you get to see all these things. And so I was in the mode of checking off various things. And so this was one that mission was free. So I'm like, I better go in and check this out.
All right, it's time to play another episode of Where the Heck is Chris Now? And if you guessed the Paris sewer system, you'd be right. This has to be the strangest museum I've been to in Paris, but it's included on my museum pass, so I had to come. And it's a tour of the sewers, how they clean them and how they operate. And just a little bit squeaky. Who farted? Did I mention that this is the strangest museum I've been in? Because as you look at the exhibits, the sewer actually flows right underneath. Really weird to be looking at exhibits with sewer water going under your feet down there. This is a dredge boat. It's what they use for cleaning these sewers. They float it down and dredge the bottom so all the waste doesn't clog up the sewer. For the sewers that are inaccessible by people, they clean them using large iron balls. They assemble them at one end of the sewer, put them in, and the water pushes the ball and rotates it down the sewer, cleans out the sand, and when it gets to the other end, they take the iron ball apart and repeat and put it on the other side again. That's very interesting. You have to be especially careful walking around here because it's an operating sewer. Things are wet and dripping and narrow. I really should have brought my hard hat.
Every self-respecting museum has to have a gift shop. But what do you sell in a gift shop of a sewer museum? Sewer rats. of course. That's one souvenir that I didn't...
Alex says he loves the old school Yellow introductions. Definitely old school. This was also the time of Yellow productions before I wore yellow in every video, and I just traveled in normal clothes. So Carmen says it looks kind of interesting. It actually is interesting. So if you're in Paris and you've seen number 1, number 2, number 3, you've seen the Eiffel Tower, you've seen that stuff, then check out those museums. It's kind of a neat thing. Yeah, Wu Tai says this one's a classic. That is definitely one of the early ones. Village Idiot wants to know, how did this not make number 1? Because I made the thumbnail about the robot restaurant, so I figured that need to go early, otherwise people would be like, this video isn't about those things that you have in there. And Mr. Tibbs says, wait till your little ones see this. To see that her papa goes to a Sur Museum. All right, number 12th weirdest attraction I've been to in the world while filming Yellow Productions is the Fremont Troll in Seattle, Washington.
Yellow Productions presents...
The Fremont Troll.
Seattle, Washington.
In the wild and wacky neighborhood of Fremont, at the intersection of 36th and Troll Avenue, underneath a bridge is what else? A giant sculpture of a troll.
Ooh, scary.
The bridge this troll is under is the Aurora Bridge, which carries State Route 99, and the street was renamed Troll Avenue in honor of the troll in 2005. The troll statue was commissioned in 1990 by the Fremont Arts Council as a way of rehabilitating the area under a bridge which was becoming a dumping ground and haven for drug dealers. The troll measures 18 feet high and weighs 13,000 pounds. It's made of steel rebar, wire, and concrete. It's become a huge attraction in Fremont.
And so everybody comes up to this troll statue and climbs up on top so that they can get a picture of the troll right here. And the thing you'll find from up here is that his eyeball is actually a hubcap, nice and shiny.
So if you're ever in the funky neighborhood of Fremont in Seattle, drop by Troll Avenue and get your picture of the Fremont Troll, too.
Alex asked if the gum wall made it. The gum wall didn't make it into this video, but the gum wall did make it into my Seattle travel guide. That's pretty weird, too. There's this wall in, Pike's Market that has people chew gum and stick it on the wall, and it's like a whole alley that's full of gum. It's really weird, and it's pretty gross. I thought the Fremont Troll was bigger and weirder, though. Let's see. Emmett says, we made the list. I was thinking we might make the list for our bubble gum wall. I put the troll in instead. I thought the gigantic troll under the bridge was weirder than the gum wall. All right, so now for number 13. Drum roll, please. I asked OC Girl as I was making this list. I said, "Hey, what are the weirdest tourist attractions you've been to?" And she said, "Chris, the weirdest place I've been is Venice Beach, the Venice Beach Boardwalk." And here's a video that we did in Venice Beach, probably also 2008, 9, 10, something like that, vintage. We have a newer video on Venice Beach, but since we're digging in the backlog, I thought I would share this one with you in case you have it. This, by the way, when I made this video on Venice Beach, this was one of my first really popular videos. I think one of my first ones that passed 100,000 views. Again, forgive the videography. This was the early 2000s.
Rainy like a rainy day, bringing you Venice Beach. Sometimes called the ghetto by the sea, now it feels like it's the cheapest way to feel like you're out of the country. Just drive here, and it feels nothing like the rest of Los Angeles.
Venice Beach was founded by tobacco millionaire Abbott Kinney to be the Venice of America, complete with canals, gondolas, and Venetian-themed buildings. Unfortunately, most of Abbott Kinney's original vision of Venice, the piers, the amusements, have been long torn down, but what does remain a popular tourist attraction is the Venice Beach Boardwalk. The boardwalk is an interesting collection of tourists, shops, street vendors, performers, and just downright crazy people. Take, for instance, this guy. His name is Harry Perry. He's famous in Venice. He rollerblades around, plays the electric guitar, and sells people t-shirts. This guy with the pot on his head is the Venice Beach Pot Man. This guy just needs to wear some more clothes. This guy comes out to the boardwalk to play the piano. Pretty good, but pretty strange. Where are you?
Right here. Drum. Man, that smoke from the drum circle, it's really starting to act up, huh? I think I'm seeing things. Well, wishing you a good evening from Venice, California. As the Venetians would say in Italy, ciao. Or in Venice, as the drum circlers would say,
Teacher Love Disney says, I love walking around the Venice canals. So the recent video we did about Venice Beach, and you might have seen it, we did it last year with Tyrone from the Rhone Zone, kind of taking a locals view of Venice Beach. There's actually really neat parts of Venice Beach, the Venice canals, Abbot Kinney Boulevard. The Venice Beach Boardwalk can be pretty weird. Vic says, Chris appears very tall. I am 6 feet tall. That's how tall I am. Emmett asks if Pink's is in Venice Beach. Pink's is not in Venice Beach. Pink's Hot Dogs is in, it's on like Melrose or like Sunset Strip. So no, not Venice Beach. I feel like the food in Venice Beach isn't actually all that great. Yeah, and I thought you guys would like my drum circle dance there at the end. All right, so as I said earlier, if you want to see any of these videos in their full length, you'll find a link in the description below or the pinned comment to my full Weird Things playlist. I've also got one that didn't make it onto this list, which is anything from Las Vegas, but I've got a whole video about weird things to do in Las Vegas. Kevin says no Muscle Beach. Muscle Beach is in the full Venice Beach video that we didn't actually watch here. For the interest of time, to fit all the stuff into 1 hour, we just had to do a little bit of each. Well, now you know what time it is for the video. It is Q&A time. So if you got questions and I didn't answer it before, well, let me know what your questions are. The Real YT says, wow, I did not know you are that tall. That is how tall I am indeed. Emmett says the Tokyo Robot Bar was my favorite. That's why I made number 1. It's my favorite too. I've been to the Robot Restaurant 3 times now. But the one time I made this video, and then I had to go again just to really enjoy it and not have a camera out. Because when I'm constantly looking through a camera, then you kind of like, I don't enjoy the actual thing as much. Wu Tai says, wife loves Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach is a pretty neat place. It's here in Southern California. It's known as Surf City, USA. It has a neat pier, neat little downtown area. Alex wants to know if I've tried the gelato place in Laguna Beach. It's like down kind of like a little alley in Laguna Beach off Pacific Coast Highway. I have. It's pretty good gelato for sure. I think, though, there's a place in San Diego in Little Italy. It's called like Papa Lecco or something. That makes my favorite gelato that I've had in Southern California. Teacher Loves Disney says, what's your post-COVID vacation location? Osaka and I were just kind of musing the other day, going like, we'd love to go travel. And I asked her where she wants to go, and she said Spain. So there you go. I often answer where I want to go, and people have heard that answer too much, so that I would give you OC Girl's answer. Carlos says, have you been to a monster truck event? I have never been to a monster truck event. Let's see. Gruben says, any tips for a newborn first-time father in less than a month? My one tip for you probably is sleep when baby sleeps. That's my tip for you. Baby sleeps, needs to feed all night, this and that. For us, the first few nights with our little explorer were kind of rough. So sleep when you can. When baby's napping, you should nap too. And if you haven't seen my video yet about must-buy items for a happy baby and a happy father, check that one out, because I go over all of the like equipment and things that we bought, and I think just having everything bought now, while it's still easy for you to go to stores and stuff, is really key. The Real YT asked if I knew who was the voice of Jesus. I do not know who was the voice of Jesus, but the Mormon church on their website has like an Ask a Mormon section. I bet you could go on there and ask them, and I bet they would give you an answer. Ethan wants to know if I love pandas. Of course, I love pandas. Brian wants to know if I've ever eaten at Momofuku. I have not eaten there. Osika and I were going to eat there, but the wait was too long. We went to the Cosmopolitan. Carlos wants to know when I'm going to Vegas. I don't know. Probably not. Probably not closer till December. Taiwan says, when will travel open up for Americans overseas? I don't know. That's a good question. Pretty much everybody said no Americans right now. Enos asks if I've been to sporting events live. I have. I've been to, soccer games, baseball games, football games. I'm not really a lover of really any particular sport, but I have. Jam says, any plans on the changes in Las Vegas going on right now, Chris? I'm probably due for another Las Vegas video. I've also got a Hawaii video in the works, and I also wanted to thank everybody for their inputs to my video about the most unique restaurants in every state in the U.S. I'm still working on compiling that video and writing the script for it. Akisu says, do you ever vacation without filming in a new place, or do you always take a day or so to film? I pretty much film whenever we go someplace, but then we also take off days from filming. So our last trip before the whole pandemic was to Fukushima. 5 days in Fukushima. We filmed like almost all day, every day in Fukushima. And then we spent 3 days in Tokyo. And maybe like 2 of those days in Tokyo were just kind of like no filming days, just to enjoy ourselves. Wants to know why I started making videos in the first place. Yeah, just to remember our travels. We made them to share with our friends and family. Realized our friends and family liked it. I started putting them on YouTube because it was a place to hang videos, and I realized that people liked videos, but actually liked, not just the family stuff, but like we're here, it's scenes of Chris walking around a sewer museum, but like to be like, hey Chris, when you went to Paris, how'd you get around, and how was the subway, and how much did it cost? When you went to Japan, did you get the JR pass? Where did you stay? What was the hotel like? And so that's why Yellow Productions is kind of what it is now, with the informative travel guides to try to answer a lot of those questions that O.C. Krill and I would get asked. Tony asks if Europe has banned transatlantic flights. I don't think so. I don't think they've banned transatlantic flights. Ashley wants to know, I'm drinking today. Great question. Today, I'm drinking some iced tea from Baja Fish Tacos. It's one of my favorite Mexican chains in Orange County, California. If you like fish tacos, check this place out. They got it's like a mini chain. They've got like 6 or so locations around here. King Pookie Alvarez wants to know, who's my favorite YouTuber from Vegas? I don't know, not from Vegas, but about Vegas has definitely got to be Yellow Productions. There's a few. I don't know, I don't know. I can't remember all the names of all the Vegas YouTubers. Okay, honestly, Bridget says, I need to win a shirt. It's been years of trying. All right, let's make it time for the giveaway. Giveaway time. So, I always give away a Yellow Productions shirt. Today I'll be giving away one with the Yellow Productions crew logo on it for someone who answers this question. And the question is, I talked about the robot restaurant, number one weird attraction in this video. What is the name of the neighborhood that the robot restaurant is in? And I am not looking for Tokyo. That's the name of the metropolis. I'm also not looking for Shinjuku. That's the name of the city. I'm looking down one narrower of where the robot restaurant is. And if you answer that question correctly, you will get a Yellow Productions crew shirt sent to you anywhere in the world. And if for some chance you didn't win one, well, you can buy one in the Yellow Productions Etsy shop. You'll find a link in the description of this video to Yellow Productions shirts, Yellow Productions onesies, Yellow Productions mugs, and everything you'd ever want Yellow Productions wise. And here we go. Norman is the first person to answer the question correctly. I'm just scanning the chat to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Kabuki-cho. Congratulations, Norman. That is the neighborhood that the robot restaurant is in. You win a Yellow Productions shirt. Either send me a message on Facebook or send me an email to chris@yellow.net with 2 W's, YELLOWWW.net. Address, size of shirt, and I will get that sent out to you right away. Well, everybody, thank you for joining me here on this live stream. It's been fun. If you want to watch more of those videos that I talked about in detail, find that link to my weird playlist. You'll find it in the description. If you're watching the archive, well, then you'll find it right here up on the screen, too. And if you're watching the archive, well, then you'll find a list of all the attractions in the description. If you're watching the live stream, give me 15 minutes, and then I'll put it there, too. As usual, I won't say goodbye, because I'll see you all in the next video.